The environment stands still, yet it is constantly evolving because shaped by the passage of people and the forces of nature. Every footprint, shadow, and whisper leaves a trace, weaving an intricate narrative within the space. Time, the silent storyteller, quietly captures these moments, preserving the dialogue between change and constancy. In Henri Lefebvre's theory of the production of space, space is defined as the product of social practices rather than a static entity. He believes that over time, space is continuously shaped and reproduced through the interaction between people and social activities. The traces left by this dynamic process in space, which are both records of the passage of time and silent narratives of social behavior. I happened to travel to Morocco during the holidays, and I took the opportunity to make some observations. Casablanca is the city that left the deepest impression on me. Often referred to as the gateway to Morocco, it is a vibrant and modern city where tradition and innovation blend seamlessly. As the largest city and economic center of the country, Casablanca is home to stunning architecture, particularly the iconic Hassan II Mosque. But one day, I wandered into the old town and stumbled upon something small yet striking. The locals seemed to use the streets in a pretty casual way, piling all sorts of things, useful and useless, along the sides. It was like the street wasn't just a place to walk through anymore, but part of their home. Some street vendors even set up their stalls against the opposite walls, as if that space belonged to them. The already narrow roads got even more crowded because of all the sudden clutter. The street felt like an invisible statement. Every inch of space could be claimed by people. Whether it was the crowded pedestrians or the rushing cars, nothing could stop them from defining the space their own way. It wasn't until I reached the spot that I realized it wasn't just a coincidence. I was stunned by what I saw. The wide sidewalk, normally spacious, was now jam-packed, almost impossible to get through. Cars barely moved, stuck like fish in a net, struggling to go anywhere. The stalls, set up like temporary fortresses, were everywhere, with colorful goods piled high. The vendors, completely unfazed by the chaos around them, chatted with passers-by or busily rearranged their items, as if this madness didn't bother them at all. People were moving fast, weaving in and out of the crowd, carefully navigating between stalls and vehicles. The noise on the street felt like a living painting, with the flow of cars and pedestrians mixing into a rhythm that was both chaotic and real. The vendors, though, didn't seem to care about any of this. Their stalls were practically permanent fixtures, and no matter how crowded or messy it got, there would always be customers coming through. This sparked a growing curiosity in me, so I decided to see what these busy streets would look like at different times of the day. As night fell, I went back out. The atmosphere on the street seemed to change subtly. Some of the street vendors who had taken over the sidewalks during the day were still there, selling their goods, but their stalls were much emptier now, and the air felt calmer than during the day. The restaurant tables and chairs were set out for dinner, but the street wasn't as crowded as it had been earlier, leaving more open space. The most noticeable change was the sharp decrease in foot traffic, making it much easier to move around. Though the noise of the day hadn't completely faded, I could feel a shift in the rhythm, with the daytime hustle slowly being replaced by the quiet of the night. The next morning, the streets were much quieter. There were only a few scattered stalls and pedestrians, and it was hard to imagine the hustle and bustle from the day before. The street was littered with some of yesterday's trash, giving off a rather desolate vibe. This contrast of silence and mess made me realize how quickly daily life in the city can change. After a few days of observing in Casablanca, I focused on the street in this area and looked at how it changes throughout the day. I explored how locals interact with the space as time goes by. From this, I could see not only how vibrant and important the street market economy is, but also how chaotic the traffic management and street usage are. These observations have provided a practical starting point for my research. Finally, I just want to say that some Moroccans are truly very warm and welcoming.